In this lecture, we'll create the groundwork for collision and our player handling things like running into fences and pickups. When it comes to collision in our endless runner, there's a lot of different ways that we could handle collision. Things like our fence, for example. This already has a box collider attached to it. However, if we really wanted to, we could just add another box collider and tack on is trigger and handle things that way. For our pickup, we actually have some software architecture type decisions. Do we want to actually handle collision on each individual pickup, or do we actually want to handle it on the player? Well, let's actually start to tackle some of those issues. In our scripts folder, let's create a new script. Let's create monobehavior script, and let's call this one player collision handler. When it comes to handling collision for our player specifically, I think it makes sense for things like obstacles or fences to actually depend on our player running into it and not the other way around. So on our player, let's go ahead and add the player collision script. Let's see, which one is it? They both look like player C. All right, so this one here. So on our player game object, let's go ahead and drag our player collision class just directly onto our player game object. I like to keep my custom classes near the top. Let's go ahead and open this class up, and we can start out by writing a simple onCollisionEnter method. This onCollisionEnter built-in Unity method will actually fire each individual time we collide with something that actually works with our collision matrix. For now, let's just debug.log whatever we run into. So we can go into other.gameObject.name just to actually log to our console whatever we're running into. Let's hop back into Unity and see what happens. Before we hit play in our game, we actually just need to add one more component to our player. Well, we don't actually have a collider at all yet. I think a capsule collider would probably make sense. So on our player, let's just situate that properly to roughly line up with our player. I think a height of roughly 2 makes sense. Shift it up on the Y a bit. I don't think we actually need it that wide necessarily on the radius. I'm going to be a little bit more forgiving to the player. And I think something around there should look pretty good for now. Let's go ahead and hit play, and with our console open, you can see, okay, yeah, that makes sense. We're not running into our pickup. Our pickups actually don't have a collider on it at all. But you can see when I try to run into this cannon, okay, cool. So we are properly interacting with the obstacles flinging throughout our scene, but we're not actually hitting the fence. Well, why is that? When we actually run over with our fence has a collider, our player has a collider. So why is that? Well, if you go into our prefabs folder and go into our fence doesn't have a rigid body, but our player does have a rigid body. Let's open up our handy dandy collision matrix to see what we're missing. On our player, we have a kinematic rigid body. Well, it's not actually going to interact with a basic collider at all without a rigid body itself. It will, however, actually properly interact with whatever sort of trigger collider that we do need. So we can easily set up some trigger colliders on our pickups. That part's easy. Let's hop back into our fence prefab and just attach a rigid body to it. So fence prefab, add component, and let's find a rigid body. Let's just scroll down to see what we might need to modify. Well, we definitely don't want to use gravity. Cool. Do we want to tack on kinematic? Well, that would be nice because we don't actually want the fence moving around our scene like a dynamic rigid body would. However, 2 kinematic rigid bodies can't actually trigger any sort of on-collision event whatsoever. So, well, we can't actually tack that on. So what can we do? Because at the moment, if we press play, well, that's not exactly what we were looking for. We need our fences to actually stay on each individual chunk prefab. Well, we want our rigid body to interact with things like obstacles still bouncing around. So cool. All we need to do is actually open up constraints and just freeze all of our position and all of our rotation. That way, when we play the game, cool, the fences actually still stay in place. And when our player runs over each individual fence, we're still triggering that onCollisionEnter event on our player collision handler. Now we can actually rig up whatever sort of logic we want to when it hits any sort of obstacle. Great. Let's actually set up some basic collision for our pickups as well. Let's create a new script in our scripts folder that I'll just call pickup. So pickup, one word. Before we open up our new script, let's just go ahead and attach that to our 2 pickups. So we have our apple and our coin. Let's just add a component, and we'll add our pickup class to both at the same time. Both will also need a trigger collider. So let's go ahead and do that. We can just add a capsule collider, and let's make sure we actually tick on is trigger. I don't necessarily want my obstacles bouncing off my coin or our apple pickup. Let's go ahead and open one at a time just to make sure our trigger collider is actually lined up correctly. Cool, not exactly. Let's just slide up our trigger. I think once again, we can actually be pretty forgiving with how big this is. On our coin, let's go ahead and do the same. Yep, same thing. Let's just go ahead and slide that up. Even though the coin is a little bit bigger, I think we can keep the trigger collider the same. So right about there looks good to me. Nice, let's go ahead and open up our new pickup script. Inside of our pickup class, instead of using onCollisionEnter, we want to use onTriggerEnter. We can actually just get rid of this private keyword. And for now, let's just do the same thing. Let's just debug.log other.gameObject.name. Now, unlike our player collision handler, it's actually going to trigger what it's running into. Well, this is actually doing the same thing, except it's on each individual pickup, which means when our player runs into it, it will actually log player. Now let's hop back into Unity and actually see what happens, but go ahead and have a think what might be wrong with what we have set up so far. Each individual time we run over a coin or the apple, we're actually logging that onTriggerEnter event. But you can actually see what's also happening. Every single time an obstacle runs into our coin or our pickup, we're also firing that onTrigger event, which is definitely going to lead to some problems. We don't need or want our obstacles interacting with our pickups, and only fire whatever logic we want to execute based on if it's just the player. Before we hop straight back into our pickup class, let's go ahead and have a think about the best way to set this up. There's a few different ways that we could get a reference to our player on collision, but they can pretty drastically differ in performance. The slowest option might be to cache a reference to the player on start, using something like find object by type and then just look for the player controller, for example. There's also another built-in Unity method, kind of similar to find object by type, except you're searching for a string reference. Both of these options, they would work. We don't actually have that much pickups in our game. You could probably get away with it, but it is technically the slowest method. And if you think about it, it's the slowest because it has to go through your entire project and then go through each individual game object and look for a specific type of component, cycling through all the components on each individual game object in our entire scene. Well, we could also, on each individual pickup, just check if the object that collides has the right component using getComponent. For example, you could do something like, if other.gameObject.getComponent is our player controller, then only execute whatever logic we want to fire. Again, that would actually probably work. I tend to use this most of the time. We haven't actually chatted too much or had a great use case to use tags. Now, tags are technically the most performant or the fastest when it comes to these three different options. However, there are some downsides. We do actually have to use a string reference in our code. And I tend to steer away from having to use string references in our code as often as possible, just because it can lead to unintended errors that can often be hard to debug. Well, it's the fastest because instead of having to cycle through each individual component on a game object, it just immediately compares that tag string. It says, hey, is the object that collided with this specific string? Well, if it is, then we can execute some logic. Let's set this up using tags so you can see some of the pros and cons for yourself. Let's go ahead and click our player game object. Over here in the very top right, we can actually use one of these pre-created tags. Now, you can actually add a custom tag if needed. However, there's a few that come out of the box in each individual Unity project, one of them being player. So let's actually just select this player tag and open back up our pickup class. Now, inside of our onTrigger method, we can actually just check that if other.gameObject.tag is equal to, well, player, then we actually only want to fire this logic. Now, as you can immediately see, you have to hard code in this string reference, and I'm not really a fan. So why is this actually so bad? Well, it can be a little bit tricky to debug. Let's say you actually had a custom tag and it was just something like player collision, for example. And if for whatever reason you actually changed that player collision string in the Unity project, well, this would actually now not work, but it wouldn't actually give you any sort of error or warning in your console. So at the very least, the next best solution, if you want to call that, let's just actually make sure that is just quotation marks player, is to at least declare the string reference at the top of our class. So for example, you can actually do something like string. We can just call it player string and set that equal to player. Instead of hard coding player down below, you can actually just use this variable player string. And this is a nice step forward. You can take it one step further and introduce a new keyword in C# that we haven't had the chance to talk about, declaring this player string as a const. Now, there's a few nice things under the hood that const is doing for us, but all you really need to know for now is that const will not allow us to change player string. So for example, if for whatever reason you tried to change player string, let's just say down here and you wanted to say player string is now equal to new player string, well, it's actually going to give us an error. It won't let us do that. If you did not have const, you could actually change what player string meant. When using a const, you actually also have to define it right away. For example, you could not define a const without actually initializing it with some value, like you could without it, for example. So for now, let's just actually keep everything how we had it set up, and let's just define a const string, player string, is equal to player. And once again, this would work just fine. But just to kind of go through the hoops of giving you all the options and the tools necessary that you can actually make your own choices, you can also do if other.gameObject.compare tag, and then just in parentheses using this built-in Unity method, player string. This would also work as well. And I believe the last time I looked into it, it is technically, I think, a little bit faster than using the double equal sign. I'm not actually sure you even need if other.gameObject. Yeah, there you go. I believe you can just use the collider itself. So if other.compare tag player string, then only then print to our console the object's name that is running into this collider. That was a bit of a mouthful. There's a lot of different ways you could go about doing something like this, but I just want to make sure that you have all the tools necessary in your tool belt, and then you can make the decisions yourself on how you want to architect your code. Let's hop back into Unity and give this a whirl. Let's hit play, keep our console open, and cool. Okay, fence is still working, and then let's also just make sure we can run into a pickup. And as you would expect, our obstacles are not interacting with the pickups in any way. Now that we have collision properly set up and working as intended in our project, we can go ahead and execute whatever sort of logic that we desire. We'll go ahead and handle that in the next lectures. When you're ready to move on, I'll see you there.